Good morning, Knicks Nation. Today is Friday, it's the 22nd day of September 2023. I hope you're all safe and healthy today, that your family is safe and healthy, and that the needs of you and your family in terms of food, shelter, clothing, as well as health are being met today. Blessings upon those that work in the healthcare field, who, along with the first responders, are every day trying to save lives, and those also that pick up garbage to keep our places clean, and those that make deliveries for our convenience. Double blessings on the men and women out here trying to help rescue, deliver, and recover teenagers and children who are the unfortunate victims of child molestation and pedophilia. Victims also of pornography and child pornography, prostitution and child prostitution, human trafficking, and sex slavery. Double curses on all the perpetrators of these things. Double curses on those who seek to profit from these things. And double curses on all the perverts that create this industry. Finally, double blessings on the homeless. Nearly 600,000 men, women, and children, mostly children, homeless in the United States of America, and millions around the world in similar or worse conditions. Blessings upon them, for theirs is the kingdom. Today, I want to talk about an important subject, something that goes against the grain of what we as Knicks Nation have been trained, and I mean trained and programmed to do. That is, go overboard and ignore your team. Today, we're going to talk about the exception to the rule, Giannis Antetokounmpo. We talked about players. Media and Knicks Nation is continually talking about players that Knicks need to go after. Continually. As I mentioned before, that's because of previous regimes, previous conditioning by the media, previous bad management. That is not the case right now. The Knicks have excellent management. They have an excellent team. They have an excellent development. They've been drafting excellent. They have a completely different culture now. They have turned the culture of the Knicks around. Now, with the blessing of James Dolan, let's not forget that. The media has hate for Dolan, hate for the Knicks, always doubting them, and unfortunately many in Knicks Nation buy into the crap. That's changed. And so I've been saying all along, the Knicks do not need to go after anybody. But there are exceptions. I mentioned Giannis as one of those exceptions. The Joker is another one. Embiid maybe, but I'm not as strong on him as I am on Giannis and on people like the Joker. So the Joker made it known to Milwaukee that he is willing to leave, that he is not happy with the current direction. That's an exception. Now, that being the case, this is not speculation at this point. Giannis has made it abundantly clear in interviews that this is how he feels. That being the case, there are going to be 29 teams looking very closely at Giannis Antetokounmpo. Number one, Knicks Nation, please don't get caught up in it right now. This is not the time. If we're going to look at Giannis, it's for next summer. Milwaukee will try their best to keep him, as they should. They probably wouldn't trade him at the deadline unless they're really stupid. They really want to try to make it work, because if they can make a run to the finals this year, they can keep him. But if they do not, if they flounder, if they lose in the first round or even the second round, they got to actually make the Eastern Conference Finals. If they lose in the first or second round, they're going to lose him. And there'll be 29 other teams trying their best to get him. Now, number one, as I mentioned just now, let's not focus on that today. All of the NBA 2K crowd can't help themselves. They're like crackheads that need that fix, so they're going to be talking about it all year. Right now, as the Knicks, what you want to do is go as far as you can with the team that you now have. Number one, that shows you where you are in terms of how far along to the finals are you. Can you make the finals this year? Can you make the Eastern Conference Finals this year? If the Knicks were to make the Eastern Conference Finals, or even make it to the second round and go 7 games, okay, Giannis will look at the Knicks. Any superstar would, because again, the way a superstar thinks is not hard to judge most of the time. The way a superstar thinks is they want to know, is this team just missing me? That's what they want to know. Is this team just missing me? Can my addition to this team get us a chip? That's what they want to know. Number two, they want to be a place where they're comfortable. Okay, and this is the negative with New York. They want to be a place where they're comfortable. For example, Kawhi Leonard went back home. So did Paul George to California, where they're from. Players like to be where they're from. Carmelo Anthony came to New York, where he's from. So players do want a comfort level with the place they're going to, for the most part. But they also want to know, as again, Paul George, Kawhi looked at Clippers and said, okay, all they need is us for a chip. Now, they were wrong, but that's how they look at it. Carmelo said, oh, we got Amari Stoudemire. With me, we can get to a chip. He was wrong, but that's how they was looking at it. Giannis is going to be looking at it the same way. The team that I want to go to, he's going to think, is a team that just needs me to get there, which brings me to the second point, very important point. No team. Teams may have all kind of assets, but no team will be looking to give up the majority of their assets to get Giannis, although he's worth it, because the whole point is to get to the finals. Giannis doesn't want to be Superman to carry the team to the finals. He wants to join forces with somebody or some group of players that could help him get to the finals. No guy wants to be the savior. Nobody wants to save a franchise. They want to be part of a team, an important part, but nevertheless a part to get to the finals and win it. So if the Knicks are involved with Giannis, they cannot give away most of their assets for it. What will probably happen is they will have to give up a major piece. And the biggest candidate would be Julius Randle for a couple of reasons. Number one, Giannis plays the same position. Number two, that would fit. You know, you can give up a whole bunch of draft capital with Julius and maybe another piece, and you can keep the template of what makes your team and go to the finals. They'll give up a lot of draft capital. They may have to give up Julius. They may have to give up another piece. I don't even want to name any players, but what they would probably do is, first of all, they're going to keep Jalen Brunson, and they're going to keep most of the young pieces they have. They're going to give up maybe one or two with Julius, with a whole bunch of draft capital, but they're going to keep the majority. So in other words, out of Emmanuel Quickley, Quentin Grimes, R.J. Barrett, Deuce McBride, Jericho Sims, you know, who else? They got a bunch of young assets. They're going to try to keep the majority of those young assets. They'll give up they'll give up the 4 number ones or whatever it's going to take, 5 number, whatever it's going to take to get that. The draft capital Milwaukee's going to get. They're going to give up a major piece, and they're going to give up a young piece. But but because Giannis is making this decision, he could leave for nothing. See, Milwaukee will not have the control over what he wants to do. See, so he, again, just like KP this year, Giannis will be in the driver's seat. Giannis will have all the leverage, and Giannis will make the decision. So while Milwaukee will be getting a lot of assets, they're not going to get exactly what they want, this is especially true if Giannis chooses a destination, which he will. He's probably going to have 2 or 3 or 4 teams that he's willing to go to. And it's those 2 or 3 or 4 that's going to be vying for his services. And they're going to be vying to give assets to Milwaukee. But Milwaukee doesn't hold the final card. Giannis does. So, again, we must understand. Again, this is for next summer, number one. And number two, the Don is slick. This is where you want the Don on your team, because he understands the position of the Bucks and the position of Giannis. And so he will give commensurate assets. You're going to hear all kind of things in the media. And I'm going to have to go over this again, I know, because of all of the stupidness that's going to come out of the media to re-brainwash y'all. But at the end of the day, the Don's going to have a price. He's not going to go over that price. Giannis is not going to want him or any team that gets him to go over the price, because Giannis wants to come to a team ready to get a chip. So you got to have some pieces. So in other words, he's not going to Oklahoma City. He's probably not going to Houston, though they were going to have added some pieces. He's going to look at an established team that just needs him. Okay? He's going to look at an established team that just needs him. Somebody might say LeBron. I don't want to say no, but I don't think he would go there. But we're talking about a LeBron. We may be talking about a Miami. We may be talking about a San Antonio, depending on how the development of Wembanyama, although I don't think that's going to be the case. You're talking about Boston, maybe. You're talking about an established team that can give up assets and just needs him and still has assets. New York. Especially if we push past the first round, which I'm pretty confident they can this year. If New York pushes past the first round and is looking at the Eastern Conference Finals, the New York Knicks would be the number one team to watch out for. And that's why I'm trying to say to y'all, you're going to hear them talk about giving away half the shop or most of the shop for Giannis. Don't buy into that. There's going to be a negotiation for sure. The Don knows the price he's willing to pay. Giannis knows what type of team he wants to come to. There's got to be a complete meeting on all sides. And I'm telling you right now, it's going to be a lot of draft capital. There's going to be a major piece like a Julius. And there's going to be another young piece, maybe two. But that's going to be where you're dealing with right there. Probably 2 or 3 players, 4 or 5 number ones, and you're getting Giannis if he wants to come to New York. But again, I want y'all to really focus on next summer for that. This year, the key thing is for the Knicks to go as far as they can with what they have to show Giannis, mostly, what we can do with what we already got. See, this is the year you want Quentin Grimes to get more involved so you can see how valuable he is, how he can become a championship piece for you. Okay, this is the year you want to see Emmanuel quickly. And we kind of already know Quick because I'm convinced already he's got starting level, all-star level potential. I'm already convinced of that. I don't need to be convinced, but some people do. Giannis is the key thing here. So we will see. But this is the exception that proves the rule. This is the one that we would be looking to do. But again, this is not until next summer. And this season, the 23-24 season, will give you a lot of indication, depending on how the Knicks do, depending on how Milwaukee does. Will give you a lot of indication of what direction this is going to go. So that's why I'm saying let's focus on this team, on this season, and let's see how it all plays out. Okay? Don't get too overly hyped when they get a 4-game, 5-game winning streak, and don't trip when they go on a 3-game losing streak. We want to see where we at in April. Okay, April. That's where we want to see. Everything else is building up to that. I'm very confident the Knicks will be in a strong position. So really, we want to see what happens with Milwaukee this year. This is going to be very interesting. This whole year is going to be interesting. And I'm trying to hold the reins in so we don't start tripping. Because you know the media is going to trip. Don't trip with them. You'll enjoy your Friday.